Hello and welcome to this episode where I want to talk to you about posting personal style posts on Instagram. So when it comes to posting content on Instagram, really when you strip it right back, your posts will fall under just two categories, and that's business and personal. There are then subcategories under these two categories, but basically you're looking at filling your feed with both business and personal posts. It's important to share personal posts on your feed. It's important that they are visible on your feed. But when I say this to people, so when I do a talk, or if it's one-to-one training, or if it's in my Facebook group or in my Instagram stories, and even now on this podcast, when I say you really must share personal posts on your feed, I am met with looks of pure horror. And I receive replies of, no, I'm not sharing anything personal. No, I'm not doing personal posts. And maybe that's what you're thinking right now as you're listening to this. Are you thinking, personal posts? No, thank you. I'm not doing that on my feed. So what I want to do is to explain to you what I actually mean by a personal post. And I also want to walk you through the reasons why you really must have personal posts on your feed. If you don't, then you're really missing a trick on Instagram. So first of all, what do I actually mean by a personal post? And I think this is where the problem lies, is in a bit of a misunderstanding of what this actually means. So I think that when I first say this and people react in complete horror and dread, it's because you're thinking that it's got to be a really personal post, that you've got to share some secrets on Instagram. But no, it does not need to be anything overly personal. You don't need to share your deepest, darkest secrets. And you should never share anything that you then later on regret sharing. That's not the kind of personal posts that I'm meaning or referring to. By a personal post, I mean share something about your interests, your hobbies, your lifestyle, and your values. Okay? Now, before you say, oh, but my life's quite boring, that's all quite mundane, I can assure you it's not. I'd like you to think about it like this. I'd like you to imagine that you are on a double-decker bus and you're travelling on this bus and it's late in the evening, so it's dark outside, and you go past a block of flats and the lights are on in the flats. Now, I can guarantee that you are going to take a look and take a nosy in the windows of those flats, aren't you? Your eyes are going to be drawn. It's like, oh, I can see into other people's apartments, other people's flats here. I'm going to take a look. And then what happens is you become fascinated by these things that they may think are mundane and they may think are boring, but to other people, they're absolutely fascinating. So you're on this bus, you look into one apartment and you see this massive shoe rack and you're like, wow, that's amazing. Oh, that's a really good idea. I'm fed up with shoes all over the place. I'm going to have a massive shoe rack in my house. I'm going to have it right up the wall in the way that they've done it. So what you've just seen is something that is really quite a mundane thing, but it's absolutely fascinating to you. So can you imagine if they shared that shoe rack on the Instagram? You'd be liking it, you'd be commenting on it, you'd be saving it so you can do the same. And then let's just say you look in another window and you see this stunning wallpaper in a colour that you never would have thought would look good and a pattern that you never would have chosen. And you make a mental note of that. Right, I'm gonna find some wallpaper that looks just like that. That looks amazing in their sitting room. So again, it's just wallpaper. So If you're thinking, oh, I haven't got anything interesting to share, then you do. Because just the way you live your life, just, the things that you do, the interests that you have, the place where you live is fascinating to other people. I live in central Scotland and I live on the edge of a woodland. You might live in a city, you might have Costa Coffee, like a block away from you, or you might live by the sea and live by the beach. Because I live near to this woodland in the woods, I'm fascinated to see where you live. I'm fascinated to see a picture of the street that you live on or the beach that's close to your house. That's absolutely fascinating to me. And that is a personal post without going too personal. So let me give you another example of a personal post that I shared. So thinking about interests and hobbies, and in particular keeping fit. I love to hula hoop with a weighted hula hoop. And I got into this actually during lockdown and did a lot of hula hooping in my garden. And I literally just shared the fact that I like to hula hoop for exercise. That was it. So nothing overly personal, not a deep, dark secret that I'm going to regret having shared. I'm just sharing with my audience on Instagram that I really like to hula hoop for exercise. It's good fun and it works. And then that post ended up getting a huge amount of engagement. People just loved reading that. So either other people who also hula hoop or other people who were asking me about it and saying, oh, that sounds interesting. I think I'll give that a go. So a personal post without giving too much away. So this hula hoop story, this hula hoop post brings me nicely onto why should we be sharing personal posts on our feed? I said that this hula hoop post got a huge amount of engagement on it. It got lots of likes, it got loads of comments on it. And so that's the first reason for sharing a personal style post. Personal style posts tend to be a lot easier for people to engage on. Okay. And you're really wanting engagement on your posts. The reason you're wanting engagement on your posts is to trigger that algorithm in your favor. The more people engage on your post, the more people Instagram will show your post to. So if you've done a nice, relaxed, personal post about maybe a hobby that you have or where you live, and people start engaging on that post, it kicks that algorithm in your favor, and Instagram will show your post to more and more people. They'll show it to more of your current followers and more of your potential new followers through the explore pages and through the search pages. And so, you might be asking, well, what's the point in that? Because this is a personal post. It's not about my business. What that actually means is the next time you post, your post will appear a lot higher in the home feeds of the people who interacted and engaged on your previous post. In fact, it's got a high chance of appearing first in their home feed because they took an interest in your previous post, which indicates to algorithm that they're interested in your content and they want to see your content. So Instagram then shows your next post to them high in their home feed. And like I say, often actually, it's right at the top of their home feed. So they make your next post highly visible to them. And your next post might be a post promoting your latest product or your latest service, or it might be talking about a freebie that you have to get people to sign up to your newsletter. So that's the reason for creating more personal style posts, is to get that engagement going and really get that algorithm working in your favor. The next reason for creating these personal posts is related to this, because it's easier to get engagement on these posts. If people are commenting, then it means that you are having conversations with each other. So you've created your post, you've created your caption, they comment, you reply, you comment back. It's a conversation. It's the start of building connections between you and your audience. It's a way that they can get to know you, the person behind the business, and you can get to know them. You can start to get to know them. So as they feel like they are getting to know you, this is where the know, like, and trust factor comes in. And the know, like, and trust factor influences all of our buying decisions. As you get to know somebody and as you get to like them, that's when that trust comes in. And if you feel that you trust somebody, then you're much more likely to buy from that person and buy from that business. Sharing personal posts also makes you much more memorable, and it helps you to stand out from your competitors. So with this hula hooping post, anybody that joined in with that post, read the post or interacted with the post, now when they think of me, instead of just thinking, oh yeah, that's Trinu, she's an Instagram coach. Now they're thinking, oh yeah, that's Trinu, she's an Instagram coach and she hula hoops for exercise. That's the reason why I'm now hula hooping, or whatever the outcome might have been. It might have just been that they enjoyed reading that post. But you become more memorable. So now to those people, I'm no longer just another Instagram coach. I'm an Instagram coach who had a conversation with them about hula hooping. So don't just be another photographer on Instagram. Be the photographer who has 2 Labradors and goes for walks every day by the beach. Don't just be another cake designer. Be that cake designer who loves to go wild swimming and talks about it on their Instagram feed. So what I would like you to do is create some lists of content ideas. And these are content ideas for personal posts. And if you jot down ideas underneath the titles of interests, hobbies, lifestyle, values, and this will really help you to create those personal posts. Now, if you need a helping hand with this, then I have a fantastic Instagram content creator, which has over 150 prompts, many of which you can actually use again and again. And I've split this guide into business and personal prompts. So with this guide, you'll never get stuck for content ideas again. So I would love you to go and take a look at it. Go and head over to www.creativepuddles.com. I'll also pop the link in below. And if you use discount code podcast, then you'll get 20% off. So get posting those personal posts on your feed. And please remember that what may feel like a mundane, everyday story to you is actually fascinating to your audience.